Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to After the Buzzer. I'm your host, Couper Moorhead, and today we are talking about the Miami Heat's 133-113 loss to the Denver Nuggets, their first game back from a 6-game road trip where they went 3-3. After the game, Erik Spoelstra essentially said that the Heat got their butts whooped in not so nice of terms, and that's pretty much how the game went. So we don't need to spend a ton of time diving into it and analyzing, but there is some stuff to talk about. Today we're going to talk about the minutes when Nikola Jokic was on the floor and the minutes when Nikola Jokic was off the floor, because those are kind of the key things from this one. But first, a couple notes. The Heat are now 1-14 against Denver in the last 4 seasons, including the NBA Finals. Their one win coming in that Game 2 in Denver, where they shot incredibly well, and they won that game right in the last couple minutes. Look, Denver's kind of had Miami's number. You can't really shy away from saying that. That's 1-14 record. What else are you going to say? That's what it is. We'll get to why in a moment. Look, obviously the Heat are in a complex situation, as Erik Spoelstra put it pregame, and we'll just leave it at that. Not our place to talk about it here. We'll just talk about the game. There was some good stuff for Miami, more good Tyler Hero minutes. He kept drawing extra defensive attention. Wasn't doubled as much, drawing 2 on the ball as he has been over the past couple weeks. But Denver did run him off the line. He was happy to get downhill and made some really nice plays in the paint. Some good Nikola Jovic minutes off the bench. Kel'el Ware, was finding his way on defense. This is a really tough team for a rookie center to learn. There's just so many angles and things you have to be aware of at all times. Bam Adebayo had a couple nice tip-ins. Jimmy Butler returned to the starting lineup. He made some timely cuts that kind of kept Miami in striking distance. They were down 9, 10, 12 for most of the game until the midway through the third quarter. Denver kind of pushed the lead to 18-20, and then that's sort of the way it went from there. But that was the game for Miami. You can't do much about it. Just is what it is. Let's get into our topics. First is when Nikola Jokic is on the floor. And look, he was only a +6. And when he's a +6, that's generally a winnable game, for a Denver opponent. But speaking to the bigger picture over the last few years, Jokic, along with Luka Doncic, and the guy coming up to join this group a little bit has been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Jokic is really the toughest guy for Miami's defense. Miami's defense excels so often, as we've talked about here, at taking the other team's best player out of the game, at making them uncomfortable, making their lives difficult, making them make tough shots. Jokic is just entirely agnostic to almost all of what Miami's defense is trying to do. Miami's defense wants to speed players up. Nobody speeds Jokic up. They want to throw a bunch of coverages at you. Nobody reads coverages quicker and faster than Jokic. It's just there's no real scheme for him, and that's not a Heat problem. That's an NBA problem. Nobody has really come close to solving the riddle that is Jokic. And frankly, there might be a time, and that time might be now, that there is no solution. There is no answer. There is no solve. You just do your best in what you do and try and make him have a bad game. But bigger picture, there's no silver bullet that is going to solve that particular problem. Jokic didn't have to play in the fourth quarter of this one. He had a triple-double in the third. Bam Adebayo tries his best. You know me, I think Bam is one of the 5 best defenders in the league, and 5 might be too big of a number there. But Jokic is a tough cover for him because Jokic has so much more size and he can finish every which way, including loose. So, in the past, Bam has tried to front him. Denver has seen that coverage by so many different teams that when Bam tried to front him tonight, Denver immediately found the angle, threw it over the top. Jokic got it, with nobody between him and the ball in the rim, and he scored. It's a little tougher, I think, for Bam to consistently try and front now because there isn't as much help side personnel with on this current Heat roster, so it's tough to do that. But look, there's just not a whole lot you can really add to this. I think Jokic might be headed towards another Most Valuable Player award. If not that, he'll at least be top 3 in the conversation all year long. And at this point, we really have to think of him as, I know you don't want to say like a Jordan or LeBron, But in terms of his night-to-night dominance, it is sort of like playing one of those guys. You have to deal with greatness, and greatness is great every night. That's what he is. I think he's going to go down as a top 10, top 20 player of all time. So if that's the guy that beats you consistently, there are worse outcomes than that, but that's the guy still that beats Miami consistently over the past 4 years especially. He's a great player. What are you going to do? Now, on the flip side of that are the non-Jokic minutes, and that's where Denver typically has their weakness. That's where you can beat Denver, is by winning the non-Jokic minutes. Again, Jokic was only at +6, so that's winnable category there for Miami for sure, even with Miami's threes not really falling tonight. But you have to win the non-Jokic minutes usually to beat them. He's almost never going to be a negative, because Denver is +28 per 100 possessions with Jokic on the court versus off the court. That's the best mark in the entire league by over 10 points per 100 possessions, like by a wide margin. Their offense is 23.9 points per 100 better, just the offensive rating. The only person within 10 points per 100 of the offense split there is Steph Curry. So you have to take advantage of your opportunity when Jokic is on the bench. Tonight, DeAndre Jordan, his backup, was a +15. You're not going to win a lot of games when that happens. Denver has lost 2 games over the past 3 years with Jordan on the roster when he's a +5 or better. And actually, Miami did score in the paint really well for them tonight. This wasn't enough. Part of why they scored well in the non-Jokic minutes was, look, Miami's playing their young guys, and as we've said before, there have been some really bright spots with the young guys in that bench unit. It's nice to see them developing and coalescing together. We've had that Jovic to Kel'el Ware connection over the past couple of weeks that's really starting to bear a lot of fruit. But again, young guys make some mistakes, and Denver is a team that capitalizes. Even with Jokic off the floor, they will capitalize on mistakes. Some of that is Jamal Murray hit some tough shots. Jamal Murray hasn't had his best shooting season, but he's been coming on a little bit of late, and he made all the shots tonight that he was hitting in the finals a couple of years ago, where every time it felt like Miami was eating into the lead that Denver had earned, Jamal Murray would come down the floor, hit a couple jumpers, push the lead back out again, and just kept feeling like that lead is out of reach. It felt like that way in the finals, felt that way tonight. The difference was in the finals, Murray was hitting tough shots because Miami's defense was still really great in those finals. Tonight, Murray was hitting tough shots, but he wasn't necessarily being forced into those tough shots. He wasn't being pushed into them under duress. He was taking them a little bit by choice just because he's a tough shot maker and he can make those. So that's what he did. Aaron Gordon is coming off the bench for them too right now. Gordon is a big physical guy. He kind of bullied his way into the paint a few times. Again, just those couple buckets every now and again that a team like Denver needs to stiff arm, hold out the lead, buy some time for Jokic to get back in the game. Julian Strawther added 14 points. He shot 4 of 7 from 3. And when Miami's opponents have really good bench shooting, that can also be a problem for them just because of how their defense is set up. They want to play some zone, especially with the bench. Zone's going to give up threes. If the opposing team hits those bench threes, it's tough skating. And you really can't zone Denver very easily. So, look, that's the game. Sometimes it's not your night. Sometimes you play a team that makes it not your night pretty regularly. That's the Denver Nuggets. That's Jokic especially. He's a problem for Miami. He's a problem for the entire league. It has been for years now. That's just the way it is with great players like that. We will see you again soon. The Heat are hosting the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama on Sunday. So we'll talk about that one afterwards, and we'll see how everything goes. But for now, this has been After the Buzzer. I'm Couper Moorhead, and thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye.
Hit that subscribe button and get all the heat you can handle.